Hello and welcome back to another episode of Word Wednesday. I'm your host, Paige Goodger, and as always, we have Bix Weir. How's it going, Bix?
It's going great. We're fresh off the Bitcoin Ben event, and everybody was very happy to see Paige out there representing RootA.
Yes, it was so fun to see everyone that came out and just to have a meetup and be in person and, be humans. It's so nice. So thank you to everyone who came out, and I hope we see you at the next one. So today our word is RootA, or RootA. So as many of you know, Bix has been uncovering the truth since he found the very cryptic Federal Reserve comic on their educational website called Wishes and Rainbows, as well as the teacher's guide called The Road to RootA. Both of these were originally issued back in 1981 when Reagan's Gold Commission was needing to find a way to a gold standard. This comic has not been seen since until it was reposted and updated on the Federal Reserve website on January 1st, 2007 in an electronic version. So RootA is not a typical name, so where does RootA come from? In the computer world, root refers to the top-level directory of a file system. The word is derived from a tree root since it represents the starting point of a hierarchical tree structure. The branches within the tree represent folders, while the leaves are considered actual files. However, unlike a real-life tree, the data tree can be visualized upside down with the root at the top and the directories and subdirectories spanning downward. Root A in financial computing would be the first top-level directory. The term Root A developed in the first shareable computer programming language called BASIC, invented by John Kimeny, who was a childhood friend of Alan Greenspan in the late 60s. In the same decade, Greenspan wrote the very first financial computer programs that developed into our current economic monetary system. RootA could also be understood as the ultimate basis for a backed currency. I know everyone has heard Bix talk about Alan Greenspan and computer programming, but what does Root A mean to you, Bix, and what does the road to RootA represent to you?
Oh my God, it changed my life from the past 13 years. I used to hate banks. I used to say, "Oh, the Rothschilds, we have no hope. There's no hope," and doom and gloom and all that. And I found the Road to RootA documents out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston website, and I'm like, oh my God, the Fed wrote a comic, and it literally changed my conception of what I think is happening. And it was a huge, huge thing in my life, and I studied it for a good hell, I'm still studying it today, but it took me about 5 years to fully understand what this comic was saying, that no, there are people within the Federal Reserve System looking to take down the banking cabal and change our system. And now they're known as the good guys, but this was long before Q, long before any of that. So yeah, that's what it means to me. It means potential for freedom, and there are people working behind the scenes to fix the problem.
So do you think RootA is a person, or do you think it's more of a conceptual idea coined by a person?
It reminds me of that V for Vendetta show when they say, "Who is Edmond Dantes? He's you, he's me, he's an idea." But yes, RootA is an idea. It is ultimately it is Alan Greenspan's idea, and in the comic book, the character RootA is Alan Greenspan, pretty much trying to get us back onto a gold standard. And I figured that out by the relationship of RootA and RootA's grandmother. RootA's grandmother always wanted to go back to a world of colored flowers, which is a gold standard. Alan Greenspan's mentor was a guy named Arthur Burns, and he was the head of the Federal Reserve System. He also wanted to go back to the gold standard. That's how I made the connection. And then there's been so much since I figured out Alan Greenspan was one of the first computer programmers on planet Earth. He invented our electronic financial system. He blames himself for Y2K, for only programming 2 instead of 4 digits. So it just opened up everything, and it's a huge, huge topic now.
Yeah. So RootA, in the sense of being the root, how do you use this on the road to RootA theory in truth seeking? Like, what is your relationship to Root A? in regards to truth and exposing the truth and reporting on the truth.
Well, that's the key is that the road to RootA opened me up to understand the truth of our monetary system. RootA finding this golden sunlight in caves and things like that, it goes right back to the Grand Canyon gold. And the reason our Federal Reserve System was even invented was because we had found so much gold in the Grand Canyon, it would have destroyed everything. Too much gold. So they invented the Federal Reserve to control the situation, print as much money as possible, and suck up all the benefits. And that's where we are today. It's really important for people to understand how we got here. What's our monetary history, so we can understand why we have to bail out banks every 10 years, excuse me, and why everybody feels like they're getting poorer and poorer, even though they're working harder and harder. And this all has to do with the truth about where we came from and how this debt-backed fiat monetary system started. And I think it's so important that everybody knows the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Once you understand the road to RootA theory, everything happening today in our insane world makes sense, and is because it's being done to bring us back to our roots. So I'm going to go through a list of 8 different things that Bix has laid out, and then we will have a short discussion to see if he still feels this way. So 1, abuse and pervert all unbacked fiat monetary instruments in order to crash the system. 2, allow the massive proliferation of debt and derivatives to assist in the destruction. 3, remove and destroy the banksters that have ruled and controlled our lives for over 100 years. 4, destroy all electronic and paper assets and debt in a global monetary meltdown in order to truly start fresh. Preserve the sanctity of the social security system so there is a way to reallocate the new currency in the United States after fiat monetary implodes. 6, abuse and destroy the US Constitution so the people can learn why this document is so important. 7, massively abuse the powers of the federal government in order to guarantee the rejection of big government and a return to state-run governments as intended by our Constitution. 8, return to the type of nation that our founding fathers intended us to preserve our future generations. So I don't know about you, but that sounds like exactly what we're living through right now. And this was, I think this document was from like 2014. This is from a while ago. So how do you still feel about all those 8 points, Bix? And where do you see us going in the future?
I think they're doing exactly what they plan to do. I wish it happened faster, obviously. But yeah, they are abusing the monetary system. All that, the whole list is true. Although it sounds like I wrote this before I understood cryptocurrencies, because I said to destroy all electronic money. Well, I would say I added that later on, destroy all electronic debt and assets. So Bitcoin, cryptos are not debt-based assets. There's no liability. There's no third party required for them. So those would survive. That's the only thing I'd change. Everything else is pretty much what they're doing, and we're on track. And it might seem crazy to you guys, but it seemed crazy to me 10 years ago when I wrote this. So we're farther down the line now, obviously, and anything could happen to break free. But it will take a destruction of the old system. A creative destruction event is what Greenspan was calling it. And when that does happen, we can decide to have the same people take care of us for the rest of our lives and be horrible and miserable, or branch off and do our own thing with whatever tools we have. In the US, we have a lot of gold. We'll probably use gold as money, probably not silver. That's not enough. But we have cryptos, and you can use fiat money. The key is to get rid of the criminals, and don't bail out a bank again. If you get, and they come in front of Congress again, they say, well, we need $20 trillion bailout. Let's just say no.
And the system.
There you go.
If any of you are interested in watching the full video on the Wishes and Rainbows breakdown, that can be found on Vix Weir's YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out for a better understanding of what that specific comic book is talking about and to give you a better idea of Road to RootA and what RootA is. Well, that is all I have for today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Word Wednesday, and we will see you all next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Paige.